Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of the Life Sciences Investor Forum and our co-host Zacks Small Cap Research, we are very pleased you have joined us for our quarterly Life Science Conference. Our next presentation is from Sharps Technology. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for a one-on-one meeting by click Book Meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Robert Hayes, Chief Executive Officer and Director of Sharps Technology, which trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol STSS. Welcome, Robert.
Thanks, Greg. I'd like to thank the Life Sciences Investor Forum and John for the invitation to participate today. This is the first time we've had the opportunity to present at this particular conference. A little bit about Sharps Technology. We are an innovative drug delivery company that specializes in smart safety syringe products and pre-fillable syringe products. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the history for Sharps that might be important for investors and people listening in. Again, thanks for those that are supporting the call and listening into the overview of Sharps. So we were founded in 2017. We completed the IPO in 2022. With the plan to develop IP for the smart safety syringe market. The plan then was to work through a small manufacturing facility that we had interest in to further develop the technology. The leadership team at that time, prior to the IPO, had identified this facility as a strategic opportunity in Europe also. And we made the decision to purchase the facility at the completion of the IPO in the summer of 22. We did the IPO with the intention of buying the facility and, as I mentioned, further developing the IP. The facility is actually located in Hungary. The interesting thing about the facility is that it was a fully operational syringe plant. It was vertically integrated, privately held, and completed everything from manufacturing of components to assembly to sterilization. So we felt it was the right opportunity for us to be able to introduce our products to the market. These products and our products are FDA approved along with CE mark and WHO approval, which is very important for our particular space. So our syringes are considered specialized medical devices. So there's a lot of regulations and requirements around our products, around how we make them, how we commercialize them, how we bring them to market, that sometimes people need to understand when they're investing in a healthcare company like ours. So we'll talk a little bit about that as we go through the presentation. But the three areas of focus that I want to spend some time on for this particular presentation is the recent agreement that we signed for $50 million to begin to supply some SoloGuard products to a U.S. drug filler here in the States. We've begun shipments of that product to support that sales agreement through our first purchase orders. So we're really excited to be able to talk about our first revenues for the company beginning this year, beginning this quarter. The other opportunity was we were successful in raising $20 million at the end of the year. Going into the first quarter of 25, we needed to raise that money to be able to expand the facility in Europe, to be able to support this $50 million sales agreement. So we were successful to do that. It was a little complicated from the standpoint of the type of structure, but the $20 million has really allowed us to take next steps and be ready to support our customer that we have now and other customers that we're working with. And then the last bullet on the screen talks about the successful commercialization, not only of our SoloGuard product, but the other two products, SecureGuard, and then a specialty syringe that is used in auto injectors. So not only have we been able to develop first revenues, but we've been able to successfully commercialize now 3 products at our facility in Europe. So an exciting time for us, really a transformational time for us. A lot of our investors have waited for us to be able to get to this point. So it's important that we talk about it today here, help people understand it, and then really answer any questions that they have. A little bit about the facilities that we're working within. And then our future plans for the US, the facility on the right is our current facility in Europe. We own that facility outright. There's no debt on the facility. There's no debt within Sharps. This facility sits at about 40 to 45,000 square feet now. It can be expanded to support not only our current sales agreement, but future sales agreements. The Hungarian government has been very friendly to support Sharps in acquiring this facility and then investing in the facility. Europe has a very strong relationship with the United States through the Hungarian government. And so we feel like we have a great opportunity there to expand our business, not only in the United States, but also in Europe. The other facility that we're working to acquire is located in South Carolina. This facility has the potential to be a specialized prefilled syringe operation. We'll talk about the differences in the facilities a little bit more, but this facility has the square footage of about 100,000 square feet, and it will offer different clean room capabilities. And again, will be vertically integrated for its different products that we plan to try to make there. So the facility in Europe is the one we own today. That's where we will support the current sales agreement. And then the facility in South Carolina is the one we're trying to acquire through different types of agreements to be able to expand our footprint here in the States. So a little bit about our products that we make, if you don't know much about Sharps. So we work in two different platforms. So Smart Safety Syringe Technology, our products are on the screen here, and then we'll talk about prefilled syringes here in a minute. So these are the products that we can produce at the facility in Europe. The SoloGuard products to the right are the ones that have been in the news recently, where we have locked up a large sales agreement with the US filler here. And this is the product that we're starting up with. So we have recently invested about $5 million with state-of-the-art equipment, molds, molding machines, high-speed assembly machines, clean room upgrades to be able to support that contract. So we have started with pilot molds that the customer had for us to begin the qualification work and to get started while we ordered the large cavitation high-speed equipment to be able to support the larger portion of the sales agreement. So this customer is in a place where they can take as much product as we can make. The current agreement sits at about $50 million, but there will be an opportunity to potentially expand this by another $25 million to be produced at our facility in Hungary. But we're excited about that. The team there has been working aggressively to complete the qualifications, get all of the work documented and approved, so that way we could begin shipping product this month. So many thanks to our team in Europe and here in the States to be able to do that work. But a little bit more about the products. You know, in the smart safety syringe space, you have products that have needle attachment that typically focus on active or passive safety. And then we've integrated what we call ultra low waste technology and then reuse prevention into those products. And then the needle-free safety syringes also have the ability to work with pump systems or needle attachments. And these two products here focus primarily on low waste and reuse prevention. A little bit about pre-filled syringes. These are much different. These are what we call high value products in the market. The revenue potential, the margin potential, the importance to the market is much larger and much higher. These typically are made out of glass or copolymer material that works like glass, and these particular products require specialized manufacturing and typically are set up in a nest and tub configuration. You'll see a rendering of that later in the presentation, where the drug manufacturer like Pfizer, Merck, Allergan, AbbVie, whoever the customer might be that owns the filling capabilities, would actually preload the drug therapy into the syringe and then complete the actual final packaging of the loaded syringe, and then ship it to point of use at the healthcare center for administration to the patient. So these pre-filled syringes allow a lot of capability for the pharmaceutical companies to get to precise dosing, to get to better accuracy, better overall performance versus the glass vials and other forms of bulk packaging. So this is actually one of the fastest growing spaces, and we'll talk about that later in the healthcare packaging space, is the movement to pre-filled syringes. This is the detailed slide that I wanted to talk about related to Hungary from the standpoint of what we do there, how we do it, a little bit more detail. You can see all the capabilities here from injection molding through sterilization, and then also the products that we make and how we service the market. So this facility in its past was relatively successful, was privately held. The facility was idled, and then they approached us about the potential opportunity to purchase the facility, and we negotiated a very good price to purchase the plant back in 22. So we're very happy with this facility. A lot of capabilities were already there, which helped us get started much more quickly. This is the detail around the facility in South Carolina that we're talking about and currently under negotiations to acquire or to partnership with. It has 100,000 square feet. Again, it specializes in pre-filled syringes. You can see the rendering of the Verijex product, which is the 1 ml and 0.5 ml syringe platform that we plan to launch in the market. We've already purchased molds. We've already made samples for this Verijex product. We're trying to move this into the market as soon as we identify the right manufacturing location for pre-filled syringes. And this is an exciting future product for Sharps. So the nice thing about pre-filled syringes made with the copolymer material, you can make them in many different sizes, from 0.5 ml all the way up to 50 ml. Historically, pre-filled syringes were made with specialized type 1 borosilicate glass. They're very challenging to make due to the glass forming process. It's really considered an industrial type operation, very dirty, it requires coolants and lubricants to draw the glass, to form the glass, many processing steps, and a lot of aggressive cleaning, washing, sterilization to prepare the glass syringes for future use, where the specialized copolymer products are made in a much what I would call friendly environment from the standpoint of cleanliness, clean rooms, injection molding, precision molds that can be easily validated for the market, and the ability to make different specialized configurations. So we see the future for pre-filled syringes, in glass also, but we see it transitioning to the COC polymer, copolymer products, due to the fact that they have a lot of capabilities to specialize and to support future products in the market. The agreement that's important for investors, I think, on this call is to understand the large sales agreement we got for SoloGard for the US customer. We received our first large purchase order to begin shipments that we started this month. We've made our first initial shipments that was announced a couple weeks ago. We're preparing for additional shipments this month against the sales agreement. So we're excited about that. We'll keep investors updated as we make those transitions. And then the high-speed equipment starts to arrive at our facility next month. We're beginning to install that, qualify that, and prepare for the ramp up in Q3 going into Q4 to be able to service this contract. So really a transformational step for us. Very excited about this for Sharps. I think a lot of the investors have been waiting for our first large sales agreement that we could actually ship against with purchase orders. And so, the opportunity to ramp up to make about 120 to 130 million units per year beginning in year 2 is a transformational step, as I mentioned, for us. It will sell out the capacity for SoloGard. Our plan is to bring in additional packaging technology to allow us to pivot to future projects as we expand the facility and look to expand the facility for additional production. But we're excited about this. And then the opportunity, as I mentioned before, for future growth for the facility with another 250 million units. So this is a really nice story for us. And again, we've had a lot of questions around it in other conferences, so I wanted to make sure I spent some time talking about it. For those of you that don't know much about the market for syringes, it's really the disposable syringe space and the pre-filled syringe space in the bottom left. You can see the growth curve to the right, but as I mentioned before, syringes are one of the fastest growing segments for healthcare, specialized packaging and drug delivery in the market. You also see news today around pen systems and other types of technology, auto injectors that are coming on the market. So when you combine the auto injectors, the pen systems, the syringes, the different types of syringes, it's a really nice space to be in, not only for growth, but for revenue and also for margins. So there are some detailed slides here about the different spaces that we work in, the disposable syringe space for safety syringes. You can see how large it is. And then the pre-fillable syringe space where you can see the bulk pre-fillable and then the nest and tub configurations that we'll talk about here. So these products typically are sold for a much higher price compared to the standard syringe. You can see prices for these particular products of $1.50 to upwards of $6, depending on the technology and the size. So, you know, the average syringe can be anywhere from 10 cents to 50 cents, but these pre-fillable syringes with the copolymer technology will sell anywhere from $1.50 all the way up to $6. So we see this as the future for the market. We see this as the future for Sharps. We like the smart safety syringe segment that we're in, but we want to move quickly into this pre-filled syringe market space. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, the growth is pretty rapid. You're seeing a lot of large pharmaceutical and healthcare companies investing in filling technology, acquiring facilities that have filling technology, bringing in high-speed filling technology to be able to process their drug therapies more quickly, more safely, and they need better packaging to do it. And so you see a rendering here of a typical nest and tub configuration for pre-filled syringes in the copolymer material. And so when you look at this and how they're made and how they're handled, you can understand, you know, why the piece price is so much better, why the quality is so much better. And at the end of the day, you know, we're doing all this to provide a safer product for the patient. And so our end game is to be able to deliver technology to solve problems in the market, and then be able to better serve the patients that our customers work with. To give people a sense for how big this opportunity is beyond the numbers, you can see examples here of what the global footprint looks like for the customer base. So you can see for the pre-fillable syringe opportunities that are on the screen, you can see they're heavily concentrated in the US and in Europe. In Europe. And so the opportunity to be able to service this market on both sides of the ocean is going to be really important for us. So having our facility in Europe already, it's expandable, it can support future growth for pre-filled syringes, and potentially working to acquire our first facility inside the US become important as we try to target these different customers. And one of the key points here for investors to understand is the pre-filled syringes can be used for different drug platforms. So typically in the space, you'll deal with specialized drugs, biologics, those types of therapies. You'll deal with branded drugs. You'll deal with generic drugs. And these pre-filled syringes can be set up to support any and all of those particular products in different configurations. Some of the news that's important that I mentioned to you earlier in the presentation is about how U.S. drug companies are buying injectable filling capacity. So these are just a few that I felt were relevant that investors would recognize the names, so that way people understand it's real. It's not just information I'm making up. So when you see Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, and others buying up filling capacity, expanding filling capacity, and then you see large packaging companies like Schott expanding their footprint, hundreds of millions of dollars going into packaging, hundreds of millions of dollars going into acquisition for injectable sites. And then you see drug shortages because of the new drug therapies that are coming out, the new expanding platforms for generics. As drugs come off patent, you're seeing the opportunity for different companies to participate in the market, to be able to support people that need those different therapies. We see this as the right space and the right time to be moving in this direction, to be able to support customers. And it's important to have a facility inside Europe and inside the US. And those facilities take capital. That was the reason we pushed so hard to raise as much money as we did when we did, to be able to make some of our first steps. Last couple slides. This is just a high-level overview of some of my team. It's important for investors to know that much of my team has a lot of experience in this space. I've been in the industry for more than 30 years, either making drugs or on the packaging side, working with almost every healthcare company, directly or indirectly, in the world. And I've had the opportunity to learn a lot about what they do, how they do it, what they need, and then been fortunate to work with a lot of great people that have helped me along the way, that wanted to come to Sharps and be part of the team. So thankful for our team and some of the future team members that we'll be bringing over. A key slide that I felt was nice to end on was about our highlights and summary. We get a lot of questions around the information in these 5 boxes. So I'll just go over them briefly because I know we're getting toward the end of time. But the $20 million financing that we secured in Q1. So the company is debt-free, and we are hitting a growth cycle for our business. And then we're completing the manufacturing upgrades in our facility in Europe to be able to support the sales and the marketing initiatives for our business. The $50 million sales agreement for SoloGard is key for us. Our first large sales agreement that we've been able to act on quickly and begin to ship products. We've had a lot of requests for commercial activity to make products to bring sales to the market. But sometimes there's challenges depending on what the customer wants and how they want it. And this was the first one we felt that was the right first step for the business. So we agreed to work on this particular project, make the investment, and then upscale the facility to be able to support it. So we see a strong relationship with this customer, a strong future relationship with this customer. Ben has done a great job, and Braden has done a great job in strengthening that partnership already. And then the potential to grow the business beyond the original commitment is there. Purchase orders, it was nice to have the purchase orders. We expect additional purchase orders in July to further support the SoloGard agreement. And then, like I mentioned, we're completing the manufacturing enhancements in Europe to be able to support those future sales agreements. So the key takeaway from the SoloGard agreement is that we can make and ship, and they will buy as much product as we can get to them. So we can actually accelerate this and do more with this than what's on the page. The InjectEZ opportunity, people have asked about that. This has been a complex opportunity due to the size, due to the relationship, due to some of the challenges that have been outside of our control. The good news is the partner is still wanting to work with us. We received an updated proposal yesterday, and so we're going through that with them to see if we can try to find a way to make this work, to make prefilled syringes here in the States. But if not, for some reason, we have strong customer demand for pre-filled syringes. So we're committed to those products, and we plan to either make them here in the US or we plan to make them in Hungary through a small expansion. So there'll be more news around the pre-filled syringe strategy later this year. And then briefly about our stock, we have about 1 million shares in the float. The Series A warrants that were part of the last financial transaction are out of the money. There's no way those can be exercised. The B warrants that were a little bit more complex pretty much have been eliminated. All of those have been closed out. And then we're sitting on close to $12 million in cash with no debt. And our recent market cap was estimated around 6 million. So with that, I want to thank everyone for their time, and we'll try to answer a few questions. So a question about tariffs having an impact on our margin on the deal. We don't see that being hurtful for the business. The nice thing about our products, the SoloGuard, is that with the investment in the high cavitation tools and then the high-speed machines, we see our cost of goods going down significantly. So we'll be able to flex temporarily if we need to manage the margins once we get that equipment running. And then obviously there's upside for us as Hungary works with the US government to try to resolve that. So part of the reason we're in Hungary and we chose to stay there is because of the favorable relationship that the Hungary has with the United States. And so details about the partnership in South Carolina, yes, it's still active. We're talking with them. As I mentioned, part of the delay was outside of our control. It had to do with our partner and things that they had to work through. So we're hopeful that we can get this back on track and find a way to make this work. So I talked about the SoloGuard already. So on the financing, the financing was a little complex that we completed. Unfortunately, it was challenging all the way around to be able to raise that kind of money for our business. We were fortunate that we were able to do that. We knew we had a good strategy because we had sales agreements and future purchase orders. So, to be able to execute against the sales agreement, we had to raise that level of money. It was unfortunate that it had to be done that way. But for a company our size, it wasn't easy. So, unfortunately, things were complicated, but we worked through that. We maintained NASDAQ compliance. We were able to work through all of the things that we needed to do to be able to bring these sales forward. A couple more questions. So current quarter had 400,000 in revenue for the SoloGuard agreement. Do you expect this to increase next quarter? Yes. So as I mentioned, we can ramp up after the implementation of the new equipment. We expect to be able to make about 130 million, 120 million units a year. And then that agreement is actually expandable based on our success. So those syringes work within healthcare medical pump systems to deliver drug therapies in the different hospital areas for different products. And so the qualification work had to be done up front to make sure there wasn't going to be any risk for our customer. Fortunately for us, the designs that we had and with help from our customer were able to be set up and modified to work with that technology. The 20 million financing for future growth, as I mentioned, we took a large portion of that money to be able to invest to support the SoloGuard agreement and some of the other business that we have short term. And then it'll be part of the initial money to support the next steps for pre-filled syringes. Revenue growth for the popularity of GLP-1 drugs. So we have some news that we haven't released yet around how we're going to approach that. So obviously pen systems, auto injectors, prefilled syringes are the preferred methodology for GLP-1s. What we see happening with GLP-1s is that, you have the branded products now, but obviously you understand when they go generic, there's going to be a lot more opportunity to be able to see growth in that space, which is going to trigger the packaging growth. So our products, the prefilled syringes, and then some of the news around pens that we'll share later in the year will be able to support the GLP-1s going forward for customers that want to work with us. So a little bit about prefilled syringes and smart safety syringes. So as I mentioned, smart safety syringes typically sell anywhere from 10 cents to maybe upwards of 50 cents for advanced technology. And then you see, and depending where they're made and the technology, your cost of goods will adjust. But the prefilled syringes are much more set up in the market for what I would consider to be high value products, high revenue products, with typically a market price of anywhere from around $1.50 to $6. So the margins for those are in upwards of 50 to 80%, depending on how they're made, where they're made, and what kind of technology is there. So I think I'm close to time, John, Greg, but again, I want to thank investors for your time. Hopefully I answered most of your questions. If there's other questions in here that we need to follow up with, I'll be glad to do that.